All right. I think we're probably good to get started. I hit just the right spot to kind of
You
fade it.
did. It was
So
perfect.
glad everybody likes my 80s party music. I know my taste is not as elevated as Susan's. I was an
Oh,
80s
but it
kid.
is good, girl. It is
Thank
good.
you, thank you. I was laughing when you were talking about the previous of that song that you were
Yeah,
narrating.
yeah.
I remember dancing to that song at my eighth grade formal.
Wow.
There's a
Wow.
flashback.
Yeah,
That's
there it is.
older.
Yeah, I love those golden oldies though. That particular niche of songs, I love those. I was
Yes.
growing up in the Bronx, New York, and listened to all of them in my
Yes.
teen years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So welcome guys to our very first sip and chat.
Mhm.
So everybody's got their beverage, something to keep you cool and refreshed. Beautiful,
Yep.
beautiful. Love it, love it.
I see Christine taking a sip right there.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Ken
We've
Wilma.
got lots of great folks on the line with us tonight, and we are actually bringing on as co-hosts tonight our two newest members of Team Great Boys. Meet J. Mark and Anne, who
Hi.
have joined our talent advisor team. They are working hard to get to the point where they can answer all of your questions the way the rest of us do. And they're doing an amazing job, working so hard. And they're so much fun. Everybody who's talked to them so far has had nothing but good things to say because they are very sweet, very kind, and very caring about our students. Um, Anne actually has been through the process that many of you have been through, starting
Mhm.
out as a student with Susan, just like I did,
Just
just
like
like
I did.
DeBorah did, just like most of us on the team. Started out as Susan's students first. So
Mhm.
we've had a lot of the same questions that you guys have. And we thought this was a great opportunity while Susan is in the air flying back from Brazil, to sit down and give you guys the opportunity to start asking some questions. So we're thinking we will kind of kick it off with some questions that people have asked us. And then you guys can kind of start jumping in. We'll talk about some of the more common questions that we get, and then you guys can, put question in the chat, or put your hand up if you don't know where that is. The react is in between the chat and share buttons at the bottom of the Zoom window. Looks like a heart. When you click it, well, when you click it and your computer is not running slowly, there we go. Then it's got a little button across the bottom of the window that pops up that says raise hand, and then it'll show a little hand on your picture on the screen for us so that we know you want to share something. And then we can go ahead and open your mic for you. I don't want to leave everybody's mics open just because sometimes, you get background noise and then it's hard for us to hear the person who's talking. But I think we'll be okay. So let's go ahead and dive in. I think that probably because I'm also on the audio team and I help people with their studios, I get a lot of questions about how to pick where you're going to put your studio. If you don't have a studio set up yet, what should you do to figure out where to have to set up your studio? For me, the first question is, where's the most noisy place in the house, and get away from that. I'm glad, Verlaine, that you wanted to ask that question. Wonderful. Yeah, you've got to figure out where the noisiest place in the house is and put it as far away from that as possible. If you've got other people in the house, think about where they may need to go back and forth and open and close doors and get into things. I started voiceover with two teenage boys. So teenage boys are, let's face it, loud and smelly sometimes. Mine are good. Mine are good.
Notice the way she looked to the side, make sure they're not hearing
Oh
how
no,
she's
they're there. I looked at
talking
them.
about them.
I looked at them. They know. but they're really good. But I put my studio in the closet in my bedroom because I wanted to be as far away from where they were going to be so that they didn't have to try to be extra quiet, away from the kitchen so that the refrigerator noise is not getting picked up by my mic. Um, there are people who've lived in places where they had noise that they had to deal with from a nearby highway, from neighbors. Put it on the other side of the house somewhere. Um, that's really the first thought, is where it needs to go. Not as loud as Bernese Mountain Dogs. No, no, definitely not, especially plural Bernese Mountain Dogs. My children are quieter than that. Ken, he's so funny. Do you guys have any thoughts or any contribution you'd like to make on choosing where to put your studio?
That about covered it. I totally agree with what you said, but I also want you to keep in mind that if you don't have an expansive house, if you're living in a small apartment or something like that, I just want you to know, because you can just use a corner of a room.
Mhm.
That's where I am. I'm in a corner of a room. And I want you to know that you're not recording all day, every day. And is a pause button that if you are recording and a car is passing outside or something, just hit the pause button and stop, and pick it up afterwards. Just kind of keep that in mind because it may sound a little overwhelming if you don't have a little, some people are living in one room. So just be in a corner of that one room. We teach you how to soundproof, sound treat, and edit in our home studio masterclass. That's all I want to add.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, any thoughts? Any suggestions or tips?
I was talking to Joe about this just about a week ago, and one thing the idea he had was maybe just sit where you think you're going to have the studio or in your studio for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and write down any sound that you hear so you can kind of go back and address it.
Like it. I like it.
Me too.
Good. Yes, my studio is in my guest room closet, which is narrow. It's long, but it's narrow. And my desk, my chair is like this big, but it's a lot of fun. I treated the walls with the audio foam, left all my clothes in there, put a carpet down, covered my desk, hung a moving blanket,
Yes.
um, which was all very easy things to do and hardly cost a thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Ian says mom and dad are musicians and singers. There are no quiet places. That is when you have to negotiate with the people you live with to set aside times where they need to take a break, let their voice rest so that you can do your recordings. I've had people tell me they have neighbors that had small children above them in the apartment upstairs that would run around. I said, you record while they're at school. You record while they're taking naps. You record after they go to bed at night. Like sometimes that's what you have to do. I had a period of about 8, 9 months where I couldn't record from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day during the week because they were doing construction. About 30 feet from my apartment building was a fence. On the other side of that fence, they were doing construction and they leave the big equipment. Did you know they leave the big equipment running all day? It's cheaper than starting it up again because I guess it takes more gas to fire up those big giant diesel engines. So they left it running all day. Huge dump truck right there, and the vibrations actually traveled up my wall and caused my microphone to pick up the hum. And because I was using an XLR microphone, the more sensitive microphone, and it heard everything. So that is something that, sometimes you have to flex around things. I'm loving the suggestions in the chat, guys. Absolutely great stuff. If you don't have a closet, you can absolutely use a blanket fort Basic David Payne, yes, made a tent out of blankets. Yeah, it might look ridiculous from the outside, but all that matters is how it sounds from the inside.
That is the
Yeah,
first thing I learned too. Our Ron Puckett says, Deborah, it doesn't have to be cute. I said, well, I'm a lady. We like cute. Don't judge me too harshly,
we
but
do.
it's also effective.
Yep,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
effectiveness is key.
Yes, J. Fred built a booth PVC framework. Is he
Mhm.
your cousin, J. Mark? J. Fred? J. Fred and J. Mark. You
Little
guys must
side
be
joke.
related.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the initials the same, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yes, yeah, PVC framework. There are things you can get off Amazon. My studio in this house, not in that apartment anymore, is in the corner of my room, and I've got this device that has floor to ceiling tension rods, just like the shower curtain rods, but they go floor to ceiling, and they're adjustable to height because my ceiling is different heights at different parts of the room. And it makes the two walls of my studio, and I just hung comforters. And like you, Deborah, I like my space to be pretty too. I got beige comforters so that
That's
they
my
would be,
ceiling. That's a
yeah, look at
comfort right
that.
there. And look
Fun.
at this is my the side that I'm looking
Well, you made your
when
space
it's
spacious.
moving blanket. And I mean, I feel like I'm in a little tent in the corner. I can't even see what's on the other side. You can do it. It's so easy to do.
Absolutely.
We teach
Um,
you how.
lots of folks doing it different ways. Yeah. Located it in a large interior bathroom. Just be careful with um the noise bouncing around in the room. As long as you're completely isolated from all the tile and mirrors and things that are usually in bathrooms, if your voice starts hitting those, it'll bounce back and you'll get a lovely echo. You don't want in voiceover, but it would be great if you were singing. um yeah, huge cardboard box. Oh, interesting. That's a very creative idea. I don't know who you are because it says Samsung SMA546U, but that's it. Yes, needs to be cute, Anna. Absolutely. I have, I got acoustic foam in bright yellow off of Amazon because I wanted it to be sunny and happy.
Mm.
And that's cool. Um, absolutely. Lots of great ideas in here. I hope everybody gets a chance to look through this. Maybe we'll put the chat role in the email when we send a link out tomorrow
That
on
would be
this.
great.
That'd be
You
great.
see all the
Yeah.
tips. Mhm.
Lots of excellent suggestions. So another question we get, I didn't see anybody come up with a, question at this point. I'm gonna give more of the questions people already gave us, unless I see a hand go up. So as far as equipment, we get a lot of questions from people who maybe they've already learned an interface, or excuse me, not an interface, a DAW, a digital audio workstation. That's what we call the software. And we don't teach a bunch of different ones. There are so many.
Yeah.
And, Adobe Audition, Twisted Wave, Reaper, Pro Tools. Why do we teach Audacity? Audacity is simple. It's very, very easy to teach. It's got lots of great tools for voiceover,
It's
but it's
free.
also free. I mean, you cannot really beat free. So yes, and I see that Anna has her hand up.
Mhm.
I'm gonna invite Anna to unmute.
Hi.
Hi
Okay.
there.
Hi there. I'm gonna
Oh, you're
unmute
very
my-
quiet.
Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you.
Okay, let me see if I can do something about. I've got my audio up all the way.
I
Okay.
hear you.
Can you hear me better now?
We hear you a little.
Okay, I'm on my computer mic, so
Oh, that's why. And I just thought about the same thing. If you're on your computer mic, make sure you're close enough to it. If you need to change your microphone or make sure you're increasing it, click on the little the caret, the little arrow that points up on the audio button in your Zoom controls, and you'll be able to raise your volume. And then hopefully we'll be able to hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So we
so I've
got,
got, okay, okay, I just upped my mic. Is that
there we
better?
go.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead here because I've had this question like burning, and it has to do with marketing. So this in the Bovo group this month, we're supposed to go look in for associations and lists of what do you call it? Yeah, associations or companies, lists of companies in the areas that we're looking at. And I'm interested in in e-learning. So I went and I looked and I found many companies in Los Angeles and all over the place. And I found a list with like 50 names on it. Every single company that I go into, I run into their website that the only way to reach them is through their contact button. And I've gone in, I've put my email address, I've put my, why am I, contacting them, that I want to find out who's casting e-learning and who the producers are and who, if I can speak with those people. And every single time, the only answer I get back to them is in terms of their marketing.
Mhm.
They're trying to get me to hire them to do my e-learning for them, and or them to do my to set up an e-learning account for me. And instead of addressing my question, which is how do I come to work for you, or who's, and so I want to know, has anybody dealt with that? Has anybody found a way to break through that and get to a person?
Yeah. There are definitely better ways, specifically if you're reaching out to educational development companies, e-learning companies, they probably have an AI chat bot answering that email that you sent in. Getting a hold of a human can be a bit of a challenge, but if you can track down alternative ways to find a number for the receptionist at their office, sometimes you can get through to a human, and that's the only way you're going to get on the phone with somebody directly. Now, what I would suggest, and I think that Susan would probably back me on this, something like, now that you've got this list of company names, finding people who work at those companies on LinkedIn, trying to see if anybody is a first, second, or third level connection. So follow them, see, ask, ask questions, get to the point where you're asking them if they can point you in the right direction of who would cast for their voiceovers for their
Okay, so you're saying go into LinkedIn
yeah.
and enter in the name of that company and possibly people will come in.
Anybody. Yeah, you if you've got a list that's a good size, you probably have somebody that's a part of that company that you can connect with and hopefully start getting those. Yeah, absolutely.
That's an idea. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been very frustrating because, it's like trying to get through AI or trying to get through the website or trying to find a person
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really
Lisa Beck, I love it. Learn to stalk them, do some PI work to find
Yeah.
connections.
And
Thank
if I might add, great suggestion, LinkedIn, I mean, that's why they're there. I mean, they're businesses, they're looking for people to work with or to, all of that. So perfect place. And also, I just want to say in general, I used to be a journalist and I've learned it's how you ask the question. A lot of times Google is my best friend, but you even have to be careful. If I'm looking for an answer for something, there's a lot of different ways to ask the same question. So even if you're going in LinkedIn, even if you're going to a company and you're reaching out to their human resources, think about that. Human resources, they're the ones who tell people what to train in, they hire, da da da. Ask who's your human resources person. You know,
Ah,
you have to break it down before you can get to an answer. And like you said, there's a lot of AI bots and all of that out there.
Mhm.
It all depends on how you ask the question. Okay. I hope you understand that because
Yeah, I do. Thank
on
you.
LinkedIn or wherever, where even on LinkedIn, you
Mhm.
have to, there's a certain way they're going to seriously address you if they see that you know what you're talking about and you're asking the question in the right way.
Mhm.
So just always take a moment, think about this. What am I doing? What am I trying to do? And then reach out.
So
And
you wouldn't say on LinkedIn, "Hi, I'm trying to find somebody. Who's the person at your company that I can talk to?" You wouldn't just go directly like that?
No.
yeah, it just depends on, what you, and once you connect to them, then they're going to have connections at that company. You can start looking through the names and see who, because you're going to find there's going to be people who have titles with talent in it that
Mhm.
they're, so those are the people who are more likely to be looking for talent.
Mhm.
So that's a great way to reach them. Also, don't forget about companies you've worked for in the past. A lot of
Exactly.
companies do their own e-learnings.
Mhm.
So they are potentially a great resource, or they may be able to tell you who at the company that they use, who to reach out to if they use a company to create their e-learnings. But a lot of the, especially bigger companies, they'll do it in-house. They'll have a whole training and development team in-house.
Mhm.
So those are great ways to make contact. I did get a question here from Joanna about XLR cables, more or fewer issues with hum. If you have a mic, XLR cables, an interface, and a big hum, first thing to do is to make sure that your cables are not crisscrossed, laying over anything too close to your Wi-Fi gateway or router, any electronic device, anything that could be putting out an electronic field that's going to interfere. You may need to replace your XLR cable, especially if it's the one that came with the microphone. Sometimes those are kind of cheaper cables and they start to break inside. And so spending a little more money to get a better cable can sometimes solve that problem. But usually when you're picking up a hum like that, it's something giving you electrical interference. I don't know if Steven is on here tonight, but we have a gentleman who lived out in the woods, and no, he's not on. He lives in the middle of nowhere, and the electric company came and installed a smart meter on the outside of his house. And when he set up his studio, all of a sudden there's this constant hum, and it was very loud. And he wound up taking his microphone and his laptop outside to get away from it. And they eventually we figured out that it was his smart meter because he was just on the other side of the wall from it. He wound up putting up copper shielding inside the house, and hopefully by now he's contacted the electric company to ask them about it, because I don't think they're supposed to put out that much interference. But that is something that, even a strip of LED lighting, a wax melt warmer thing, any kind of thing that has electricity running through it could be putting out a field that if it's too close to the microphone, if I move my microphone a little closer to my Wi-Fi gateway, it starts to pick up a buzz. So yeah, that's something you want to be careful with. All right. Mike has his hand up. I've invited Mike to unmute. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's getting a little bit warmer here. We're finally summer's starting to really settle in, which sucks because right above my room where I've got the booth set up in the attic, there's an attic fan that turns on when the attic reaches 99 degrees, and it's impossible to hide it. Impossible to hide it. But if you go out and turn off the breaker for it, the breaker also powered the room that I'm in. So I ended up having to drill a hole through the wall into another room, running an extension cable and plugging everything
Oh, dear.
into that. So when I turn off the breaker, it doesn't shut everything down in here.
Wow.
But
That
that
was a lot of
you,
work.
you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
My question though is when we're building these booths and everything like that, we're making the room that we're in very, very, very dead. I mean, not like anechoic chamber dead, but there's no reverberation, there's no reflections and everything like that. Well, that takes away the presence in your voice, especially if you have a low voice. And I was wondering if there's any, of any plugins or anything like that we could use to put some brightness back into the voice, or is that something that the engineers at the client will take care of? No, what they want is just completely dead, no presence, and we'll fix it at our end.
It doesn't have to be completely dead. As a matter of fact, if you're doing audiobooks, they don't want it to be completely dead. So you'd have to, and I've actually had this conversation with a couple of our sound engineer and more experienced team members in the past, that they had to rip out some of their foam because it was too dead for audiobooks.
Okay.
If you're losing too much brightness and you're not trying to do audiobooks, when you run the effects that Ron teaches in the Home Studio Masterclass, compressor is going to add a degree of brightness.
Yeah.
But if there's still too much of an issue because of the deeper voice, Ron does have an EQ that we can get to you that will help with that.
I mean,
and it's
I could try EQing it myself, and
the
it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And I could try putting a little teeny tiny bit of reverb on the voice, just the barest hint. But I didn't know whether we already had some plugins or something like that would do that, or if they did that on the other end.
Well, it's not a huge problem for most of us, because we're not going to get our studios completely dead in a home studio. We're not doing construction and rewiring the house or anything. We're putting up moving blankets, comforters, a little acoustic foam. And we don't all have that gorgeous deep voice, but it's something that if you'll ask the client if they want raw audio, they're going to let you know they want raw audio. If they want you to edit, they're going to let you know. If they're not sure, because sometimes we work with clients this is kind of a whole new experience for them. You're going to ask them the questions and give them the options. But it shouldn't be a problem for that background to be totally silent if you're not doing audiobooks.
Okay.
We have a lot of technical questions.
We have a lot of technical questions. There's a couple of people with laptops making noise.
I do have a couple of questions that deal with performance things.
Awesome.
Sure we touch on some of those.
Absolutely.
And
just super quick, if your laptop's making noise and taking it to a service place is not an option, putting it outside of your space and using a wireless mouse to control it with a separate monitor inside the space is perfectly acceptable. There are lots of people who have their computer outside the space. They click record and then they step into their space, close the door or curtain, do their recording, and then come out and just delete the excess off on the ends. If it's making noise and it's still working properly, that's fine. So let's hit one or two of those performance questions. DeBorah, who I think are our performance expert. Perhaps you'll take that.
So it says, one gentleman said, I have 40 years of radio and TV experience. What can you teach me that I don't already know? Many of us in voiceover have been in radio and television. Back in the day, there was a whole different expectation. First of all, we were live, even the voiceover, we'd go into a studio, we'd record, or if we were on the radio, a lot of people on the radio, we weren't necessarily being paid for the commercials that we were actually doing. We were writing the commercials, we were recording them or whatever. Today, and what we're doing about right now is we are working with voice buyers who are listening to a lot of different people, you know, who are auditioning for them. So that's where the training as a voice actor comes in. They have different expectations. Also, we were talking about the home studio masterclass and the editing. You have to know how to edit according to industry standards. But your performance is very, very important as well. I mean, we train as voice actors. Many of us had, you know, experience in theater, in
Mhm.
television, and all of those things. But now we had to learn to bring all of that to our voice because people
Yes.
can't see us. And just
Mhm.
as an overview, we want, as voice actors, when we have a certain way to create our world when we're talking, we have to decide in a script, who am I speaking to, why am I saying this to them? So we have different ways of getting to that intimate part that makes us sound not like we're doing public speaking, because this is not public speaking. This is not radio. Radio has a whole different way of speaking and presenting themselves. This is not what we're doing. So, what can we teach you that you haven't learned already is how to be a voice actor in this time, in
Yeah,
this way, in this age,
absolutely.
because everything
Absolutely.
has changed.
Goes for podcasters, goes for singers. I get a lot of people who are like, well, I already know how to record. I record my music. I'm like, it's not the same thing.
No.
Mike is shaking his head because he knows Mike is a sound engineer for live events, and he's
Yes,
done
folks.
television and all, and it's completely different. He took the home studio class because he recognized that we were talking about very different things, different tolerances, different expectations for the quality of your file.
Mm.
Absolutely. So that's all super great advice. I'm going to jump back real quick to technology stuff because I have a great question from Chris about getting a Shure MV7 Plus. Shure is a great brand. When you're just starting out, our recommendation is keep it super simple. Uh, USB microphone like the Blue Yeti. At this point, most of the time it's under $100, but it gives broadcast quality audio. You will see a lot of voice actors, a lot of podcasters, a lot of content creators using it because it's also very durable, very simple. It doesn't require any additional software to operate it, so it's not going to muck up the works. With XLR type connections, the addition of the interface leads to other complexities, other potential problems, as somebody was pointing out with their XLR cable. It picks up a lot more of the electronic interference, and also picks up a lot more background noise. So the something like the Blue Yeti is a really good, solid option for somebody who's brand new to voiceover. You can do any type of voiceover with it until you get to the level where you're working for the big publishers or you're working on an actual documentary. They may ask you to get that other type of microphone, in which case you'll be doing a whole lot more with your foam. You'll be doing a whole lot more with making sure that there's no noise coming in from outside. Start out as simply as possible, would be my suggestion for sure. All right. Let's find out what Dean's question is. Hello, Dean.
Hello, Donna. Good to see you again. Am I coming
Good
through
to
okay?
see. Doing
Hello,
great. How about you?
DeBorah. Doing well. Nice to see DeBorah. Nice to meet Ann and Trout.
Nice to see
First
you.
time to see. I have two quick questions, both are, I think, marketing related. I got my e-learning demo in April. It's completed, got it, basically e-learning. And I have started to look at various places for marketing like Fiverr. I'm particularly attracted to Upwork. And she's already shaking her head. I'm particularly, what I like about Upwork, they have a jobs posted. So you can go in and say, hey, I'd like to try out for that. However, at the free level, they have what, as you know, are called connects. These are basically tokens. They're 15 cents each. You can buy 40, $45, you get 300 of them. And when you want to connect with a client and raise your hand and say, I'd like to audition, you spend 5 or 6 or 7 of those. And you may or may not get an audition. So number one, is that okay to do that? Because it seems like everyone is, rather than sitting there waiting for them to stumble over your new, I'm a virgin, I have no previous work. My second question is, if I want to get a second audition demo in because I'm getting my best feedback on e-learning and documentary. So I'm thinking about having a coach me through like David did with my e-learning, get a second demo, simply focusing on documentary. I'll have 2 swords in the thing.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm at. And I have my site, my profile on Upwork now, but I haven't spent any money. A month, it's like $25 for 100 of those, and you get enhanced exposure. So help me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got student Bob Loudermilk, who's done incredibly well on Upwork. And you know, he's been working steady for about 2 years, primarily using Upwork. So I would say, based on what he's told us on his experience and what some of the other folks who took a class with him last year and learned to follow his example have been doing well, and it's totally worth connecting and spending that small amount of money. It's a great way to make those connections with people. Upwork is great because you tend to get repeat business from those clients.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yes. So
we're looking for a long-term person. We want to do 3 hours a week with you forever.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, you know,
one other follow-up question, if you don't mind. They've seemed to have gone to a per hour rate, where as voice actors, we do per word, per page, whatever, or finished hour. Is there a way to adjust your mowed grass and weed eated today? Your contract to shift it to per word? Can you do that with them?
Generally, you're gonna figure it out in whatever unit of pay they want to offer you. So if they're saying per hour, clarify if they mean per finished hour of recording or per hour in the studio. So studio time, they're paying you per hour.
Are you speaking of Upwork, on Upwork?
Yeah, on Upwork. Yeah.
There's a sister app that goes with it that tracks when you're actually working. You hit that app and it's working, and they take little snapshots occasionally to make sure you didn't turn it on and gone to the kitchen and had a sandwich.
Interesting.
It's a separate app, and you fire that up when you start working. And if you're there working,
that's different.
Yeah.
It's not something I've heard of before. So do your research. If a potential client on one of these apps or websites asks you to install software, make sure it's legit, because that's one of those potential red flags that I would watch out for. Downloading software, clicking a link, dealing with them offline.
No.
Be careful. Those are no-nos for the most part. So yeah, just
and we're getting more and more clever.
Yeah.
So
client by client.
Yeah.
Well, and so yeah, some of them that are pretending to be clients aren't clients. They're just out to, try to trick somebody.
What about a second demo?
So second demos for everybody. So if you've already taken the home studio class, you've already been a Speak to Perform member, there are definitely discounted demo options, and they're going to vary depending on how long it's been since your last demo. That's something that your talent advisor or support can talk to you about based on your individual situation. So rather than just, throw out a price and have somebody else go, but I want it for that too. We can set up time. We can set up time for a quick conversation, Dean.
You are my
DM
talent
you.
coordinator, so I will get with you.
Yes.
And I thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, somebody asked about knowing what to charge for your services. That is something that Susan actually teaches a class about, and we're going to do another one of those coming up here soon. Many of you, if you got certain things when you first signed up with us, like the VO Starter Toolkit, may already have a VO services pricing class in your Great Voice Customer Hub. If you're a Speak to Perform member, there are literally, I believe, 4 or 5 classes in the VO Vault, speaktoperform.com, about pricing. One of them, Susan actually walks you through creating your very own price sheet so that you can use that to quote rates to customers. I encourage everybody to check those out because you're going to want to not only know what you're charging, but how to discuss it with customers who might have questions or might want to haggle with you over price. It happens sometimes. And in those videos, Susan does talk about that. So that's a whole class. Teaching you what to charge for different types of voiceover is a whole class. So we won't have time to do all that tonight, but there are tons of resources for you out there. And again, if you don't have the pricing training in your customer hub and you're not a Speak to Perform member, reach out to support at greatvoice.com, give us a call in the office, or reach out to your talent advisor directly if you've got one assigned, you know who they are, because we can help you figure all that out. All right. Let's see here. There's a lot of questions. So do security systems.
Go in-depth answers.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to give everybody just a quick,
Yes.
Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah. Oh, I was just letting Joanna know that yes, security systems could possibly have that hum as well. The trick would be take your microphone, your laptop, and move them away from the security system and see if you get rid of the hum that way. For sure.
I wanted to address a question. It's so in depth, but someone was asking about music background and everything. And yes, we do have a advanced home studio masterclass that teaches that. As a working voice actor, I don't generally put music under my auditions. I don't, that's a very advanced stage. I know how to do it. I know how to do sound effects, but the client is interested in your voice and how you handle, not so much interested, how you handle the material. That's the most important thing. So if like Donna said before, kind of keep it simple. Don't get cute. Don't, oh, the music. Maybe later on in your career, you can do something like that. Get good in a niche first. Get good with something. And audiobooks definitely no music ever.
Right.
That is a rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Rick's analogy. They care about the pizza, not the box. You got it, Rick. Absolutely. Absolutely. They want to hear the content of what you're doing. Now, there are a couple of people in the chat who mentioned, if they're creating content for social media, if you're using that to promote yourself, you want to have royalty-free music as a background. If you're gifted with a singing voice too, then the good news is you're probably somebody who's going to have an easier time understanding how to use your instrument to change your voice, to do character voices and things like that. I've seen people and I've talked to people who get on Fiverr and they do a gig for jingle singing, and they do a gig for voiceover, and they do a gig for I'll do both.
And
That's
yeah,
certainly something, certainly
mhm,
something you can do. And
yeah.
actually, that ties right back to the royalty-free music. If you're somebody who has a real good ear for music and you enjoy it, you can learn how to add music so that you can offer that as an option for your clients that are smaller companies, mom and pop businesses, where maybe they are going to be relieved not to have to hire a sound engineer to add music to this script that you're going to do for them.
And
But
sometimes with auditions, they ask for singers. They want you to do both. They don't want to hire two different people, a singer and then a voice actor. I mean, I just saw one the other day. So if you're gifted with that and they ever ask, what are your skills? You can add that, add
for
what
sure, for
you can.
sure.
Mhm.
All right. Lisa Beck has been patiently waiting.
Mm.
Talk to us, Miss Lisa.
Well, can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can.
you can lower your
I-
hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I had a unusual thing happen the other day. I finally got I got a Focusrite system, a solo, and I got it hooked up, and I was so proud. I was like, woo, look at me, I'm going, I'm going. And I was super excited. And then I hooked my mic up into it. It's gone. It just completely erased everything that was on my screen. And all but a whole bunch of security stuff had come up, and I was like, maybe I did something with this. Maybe, what did I do? What did I do? And I couldn't figure it out. And then I had a mic, hearing it, headphones for the mic, and I could hear the mic out of those headphones. And I had another set of the Behringer headphones, and I could hear my DAW out of that. And I was like, so I had to make the mic match the DAW. And so I thought, maybe I just need a cord. Maybe I hit a security bump and I need a cord. So I researched it, what kind of cord I need. I got a TT and TRS cord, but that didn't work. And I had ordered it from Sweetwater, and I got it and hooked it up, and the small end didn't fit in the mic. And I was so mad. And then I just forget it. And I called Sweetwater, and I'm like, what is going on? And so he walked me through it all and everything. And I thought I'd got my mic from them, but I hadn't. I don't know where I got it from, but, it was a Lalonde, and, it's a gaming mic, and it had so the guy Googled it up, and he was looking for it, and he said that had a condenser, an interface in it. And that interface completely overrode the Focusrite. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, okay, it'll be fine. And he said, that's not the mic you want anyway for what you're going to do. Because I explained to him I was going to do voiceovers and what was going on and everything. And so he got me set up with a new mic and a boom arm, and that'll be here on Monday. I'm so excited for that. And then I'm going to start playing more. And then I said, well, let me ask you about this. I said, when I put in the mic in the thing, it completely went away, and I didn't know if it was security. And he's like, ma'am, it's because that had an interface in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, you just said that. But I went registering what it was. But that's something, because you had touched on it earlier. And I thought that's something a lot of people might need to be aware of, because that's one of those. If it hadn't been for him, I would have been lost.
And talking to an expert is a great idea. Talking to an expert before you buy. Yes, I see, Dean, your Rode NT1 Signature Series. I saw it. Sweetwater, I'm glad you mentioned it. Somebody else mentioned Sweetwater in the chat. They are great. We do send out information when you sign up for the home studio class about Sweetwater, because their support is excellent. So anybody has bought any equipment from Sweetwater, you call their Sweet Care team. I love that they call them that. And they are sound engineers who help you figure out what is going on with your equipment. And the reason we do that is because I bought my equipment from Sweetwater when I started with Great Voice and had a problem. And when I called, they did such a great job with the tech support and troubleshooting. And you know, people who've had computer issues, if it's above Joe and I's pay grade, we send you to Geek Squad or recommend that you find a shop near you that it has tech support. But you can reach out to us with questions about equipment. You can reach out to the company you bought the equipment from. Most of them will have some kind of support available for you. Nikki had a question about, do most people just use their name for their website? Keep it simple and keep it easy for them to remember. So if you're introducing yourself, yeah, and easy for you to remember. And then the part two to her question, should I create an LLC and then a DBA under your name and other social media? You're going to want to talk to your accountant, your tax preparer. You need to figure out what your risk is. LLC protects you from risk. So for some people, they may not own anything that somebody's going to come after you for. And so just doing a, DBA, your name, working as a sole proprietor is perfectly fine. It's also going to depend on the rules in your state. So you want to start researching that and find out, and an accountant or a tax preparer is going to be able to recommend who you should talk to in your state, in your area.
My tax preparer had even said we had talked about doing trade-off for him to do my books, and I could do commercials for him.
Sweet.
So
love that. That is awesome. Okay. So how about Christine?
I was going to say,
hi, Christine.
Let me unmute my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sound great.
Okay, great. A couple of questions. How hard is it to get gigs after my demo's done? And should I get a talent agent since I'm done with the masterclass?
Yeah, let me address that if I may.
Yes, please.
One, how long? I'm sorry, repeat it again. I know they were performance-based, and that's why I want to.
I had the home studio masterclass, and after I get the demo done, how hard is it to get gigs?
And what niche is your demo in?
Well, I haven't gotten it.
Oh, okay. So
yet, so
well, let me address that like this. Different people do different niches for different reasons. E-learning and corporate narration niches are, and I take this, easier to get jobs in than commercials would be. Okay. Because of low-hanging fruit situations. I mean, for the e-learning, you can approach people who know you professionally already, or you can go to companies that, and say, hey, this is what I do. I can help you train your staff. Corporate narration, same. You can go to companies. It's not an audition type thing. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're definitely going to hire you or want you. But at least it's not about auditioning, so that's it. If you did a commercial demo, you don't need an agent. It's good to have one because with a commercial demo, first of all, you can't get an agent without a commercial demo. That's the way you can get an agent is they're not interested in your e-learning or audiobook or anything like that. They're interested in commercials. However, you don't need, because there's 4 ways you can get auditions, and agents simply one of them. But you can get auditions online, and pay-per-play sites and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's that. You have another part of the question that you asked.
How long is it going to take to start getting jobs?
Yes.
None of us know that, but I will tell you this. We mentioned Bob Loudermilk before. Bob has done over 300 paid voiceover gigs. Now, let me tell you why it is that he secures work like that. He's a hustler.
Okay.
He will go out to he markets, I believe he does, probably markets on his clothing, his website. He goes out to his community meetings.
Okay.
And this is a mindset thing that all of you, as you progress in voiceover, start thinking like, marketing person. Start thinking, if I put my website on this, if I do, oh my goodness, there's a city council meeting. There's probably a lot of people there that can da da da. Start
Right.
thinking like a marketer. So how
Okay.
can I sell myself?
Yeah.
In addition to getting on LinkedIn and Fiverr and all of that, there are plenty of
Right.
things you can
Yeah.
do as a voice.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, Bob doesn't spend 40 hours a week or even 20 hours a week. Bob retired and he and his wife want to enjoy their retirement, but they wanted just to work a few hours a week to earn extra money to go around the country and visit their grandchildren. So that's their
Right.
traveling and fun money. So he's only working a few hours a week at this, but
Right.
he's got
And a
that.
lot of it is repeat business.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
He's got the card with his website that he can give somebody. He's got his, branding information out there for people to see. And he puts himself on the platforms and he keeps his profiles up to date. The things that this is where people tend to fall down is that they put it out there and then they don't log in again.
Don't do anything with it.
Don't do anything.
And Bob has a demo that he's been working from all this one demo,
From one
but
demo.
he works in a lot of different niches, because of that marketing prowess
Yeah.
that he has, and again, a lot of the customers are coming back. I mean, he's got work on YouTube, he's got work Upwork, he's got, audio, but he's got everything. He's worked in a lot of different niches because
Yes.
of his marketing prowess that he learned as a member of the Great Voice Speak to Perform training,
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
which is
Absolutely.
part of the demo
Absolutely.
package, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Super quick before I like Rena's question, but somebody asked about Audacity. We still recommend you stick at 3.5.1 as the version for Audacity. New company bought them last year, took over. There are newer versions and the 3.7s. There are some hiccups, there are some issues. We have a secure place for anybody who needs to download 3.5.1 because they've upgraded and they're having problems. We can point you to the site where you can securely download the older versions. Yeah, they're much more musician focused now, and it was causing some issues for the last, but before they got to 3.7.4, they had one that you could export an MP3, but the person had to open it in Audacity version 3.7.1 on the other end. Your clients are not downloading Audacity for you. Yeah, you definitely want to get to that. Yes, Rena's question. Yeah, can you do a demo that's half one language, half another? You want to do them separately. And the reason, and this is something that I've mentioned to a few people who've had questions about mixing different niches on the same demo. Think about the voice buyer. What are they expecting to hear? If you've got a potential client that you're thinking, okay, they want Spanish, but the first track on your demo is English, they're going to stop listening. They're not going to wait to see if the next spot is Spanish. They're just going to turn it off and move on to the next voiceover artist. Same thing, vice versa. If they're expecting to hear English and the first spot is Spanish, they're turning it off. It doesn't serve you well because it doesn't serve them well. They are very, very particular about wasting their time. Like, yeah, there are some niches that can be mixed. A non-broadcast demo that has e-learning and corporate narration on it can be done because the skill set is similar enough that you can mix them, and they're going to hear something that is appealing to them, that meets their needs, because you're giving that informational type of narration.
And always think about the voice buyer.
Yes.
It's not about us. It's about what the voice buyer is looking for.
Yes.
Believe me, if you lead with that, it's going to make a lot of things a lot easier.
Absolutely. We're hitting 9 o'clock. I know some people are starting to drop off because it is the bedtime for folks on the East Coast.
We got to do this again, Donna.
We definitely need to do this again. You know,
people with questions.
Yes. Okay. Chris Mars, I know you got to go. Christopher Mars got to go. A lot of people are saying they got to go. I get it for sure. We can take a couple more quick questions for those for anybody who has
hang on a little longer.
Go. Yeah, absolutely. So Ian, come on and say hi. Let us know. I'll include the link to download Audacity 3.5.1 when we send out the link to watch this video tomorrow, for all of you. I'm not familiar, James, with that link. I'm going to say I don't suggest that. I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. Don't use, make sure we give you guys the link. I'll send it to everybody in the email tomorrow with the link to this video from tonight. That way you can get that information from a source we know is safe.
Yes.
James, I'm sorry, I don't know whether I haven't had a chance. We don't want to click on links that we don't know. So we'll get that to you. Ian, what's your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'll try to make this quick. Say you have like a demo reel for like a corporate commercial or an audiobook or for animation for a show. Is it better to have a demo reel for like multiple demo reels, or to just have like one all clumped together?
No, multiple. For this reason, for some of the things that Donna definitely mentioned, you know, a client that's interested in you for audiobooks is not going to want to hear your medical narration or whatever else. Okay, so always, again, lead with what you're targeting.
Yeah, you got about 7 minutes before or 7 seconds rather, before they stop listening. If they're hearing something that has nothing to do with what they want, if they're listening to you for a commercial and they hear an audiobook, 7 seconds and they're turning it off and moving on to the next person. So really, really focus on, what does my voice buyer want to hear?
And also know that multiple demos expand your reach.
Yes.
The reason we have a gentleman who's done 6 demos. I mean, he's bringing in the money from the demos that he's done. So he's like, let me reinvest. And because he knows that broadens his reach, you know, it's like, okay, political season comes. I've got a political demo there. Oh, I want to do commercials. I got a commercial demo. But then again, I love audiobooks. He's got an audiobooks demo. You know, so think of it like that. It broadens your opportunities. You can reach out to different targets.
For sure.
And they get cheaper if you're doing them with great voice. Awesome. You know, they're cheaper as you get more.
Absolutely. And you know,
thank you very much.
You're welcome. As it's getting later, you know, if you guys have questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, support@greatvoice.com. Send us those questions. We'd love to talk to you. This is what we do. We answer questions all day long, don't we, Anne, Mark? We answer these kinds of questions all day, and we knew that there were folks out there like yourselves who have not asked them. So very, very happy to have been able to answer that question for you. Let's Marquis.
If I am your talent advisor, you know where to reach me, DeBorah at Great.
Absolutely, yeah.
If it's you know.
Yeah. And if you're not sure who your talent advisor is, send the email to support, because Anne and J Mark and Joe and myself, we can look up. And if you're not assigned to somebody yet, well, by golly, we're going to get you assigned to somebody who is going to be your personal guide for the voiceover experience and make sure that you get the information you need. Anybody who works with any of us can tell you that that is absolutely the case.
Let me tell you, Susan Berkley herself handpicked each of us because we love people. We love sharing Look at us. I mean, come on.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had a hard time sitting here containing myself. And look at Donna. This is how
Yep.
we are. We're
Yep.
not putting on an act for you. This is what
No.
we do. This is who we are. Send us your questions. We'll answer them.
Mhm. Yes. Marquis, give us that gorgeous deep voice. Let's hear it.
Marquis, I was going to say, can we at least hear Marquis?
Yes.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hey.
There he is.
This is a performance question.
Okay.
I've gotten to the point where on the auditions, I mark my script. I try to, highlight words that may have a certain type of inflection or a problem with. And I understand, you want to create who you're talking to. The more detailed it is, the better. Where are you? Why are you talking to them? Was there, you go through all of that and you have that. And I get my breathing and I think I'm ready to go. And then I start the script, but that visualization goes. And now, at times it turns out, of course, that it sounds like I'm reading or I miss the emotional
I get it.
tone
I get it.
and
These
if I
are,
could
there
keep the
are,
visual, it may be better, but it's so difficult to keep the visual. I don't know
yeah,
how to keep the
don't,
visual.
that's seeing outside of what you need. Start from the inside. Look at, there are steps. There is a process to before you even get in front of the mic. I say, look at the script and do all those things that you're doing. But as you're doing all those things that you're doing, really look at it and say, what the hell am I saying here? What am I saying? I mean, because I'm going to tell you, and what are you saying, Marky? How are you receiving what it is that you're reading? Everything else will come after that. Just know, how we talk to one another, the inflections we use. We're not monotone. So when we look at a script and we see what it is we're saying, hey, we're going to get in front of that mic and we're going to do it several times. And I'm going to tell you, each of those times, you're going to go deeper. You're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. I know what this should, let me say, instead of saying, I went to the store, I can say, like, I went to the store. You know what? Each time you do it, each take you do it, you go deeper with what you're saying. Everything else is all outside stuff. That's all technical. Like, should I speak high here? Should I speak? Oh, I've lost the visual. No, you don't lose the visual. You look and decide and hear what it is you're actually saying, what this means. Why am I, oh, wait a minute. That's what I'm saying. And
Mhm.
I focus on that,
Yep.
and the
Absolutely.
visual will come.
Yep. Yep.
Do you hear me,
Absolutely.
Marquise? Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
absolute sense to me.
What are you saying? Why are you
Thank
saying?
you so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And I cheated when I started out. I'd pull up a picture of somebody I knew and put it next to my script and talk to them because it helped. I'd start out strong, and then you start to kind of forget, who am I talking to?
Yeah.
And
What am I saying? Why am I telling them
why
this?
am I telling them this thing? I'm looking, if I'm talking to my sister and I've got her face next to the script, it helped me get to the point where I could, and it's a muscle. I mean,
Think
all
about
these
her
things you're learning to
reaction.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can think about her and laugh. I can think about her and smile. And you
and
can,
how she's reacting to what you're saying, Donna.
because I know
I mean,
exactly how she would react.
she's
Yes.
gonna have that look on her face, Marquis. He's
Yeah,
gonna have
it's
that
a
look.
tool, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
But
tool.
it's a muscle. All of these things you're doing, you're developing voiceover muscles. Your memory of how to do these things. As you practice them, it's going to be easier and easier to keep who you're talking to and why you're saying what you're saying in your mind while you're delivering it, and less focusing on the small details of how I'm going to pronounce this word, how am I going to go up or down, because I go up when I'm emphasizing something and I go
Because
down
that's
when
a
I'm
part
being
of
more
the
serious, and it's
rhythm
going to happen automatically.
It's a
gonna
part of the
happen.
rhythm.
Yeah, because you emote when you're speaking, you're expressing emotions when you're having a conversation with someone,
Mm,
what's going to happen when you just have that conversation with that person you're talking to.
actually, and let me
Absolutely.
say this because I've said it before. Say, and this even enhances what I was saying, Marquise. Say, for example, on one of those takes that where you have an aha moment, you decide you giggle because you're really into what you're saying, and you giggle or you make a certain sound. You like that there. That came from an authentic place. So now the challenge becomes when you decide to keep that and repeat it, don't overdo it. Remember where that came from in the beginning.
Yes.
Remember where that giggle, what made you giggle? Remember, you got to meditate on this. Why did I giggle there? Because if you try to fake giggle, it's going to sound like a fake giggle.
Gonna sound like a fake giggle. Yep. Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
the challenge. So again, what am I saying? Oh, that's what I'm saying. Oh, what am I feeling? Oh, that's what I'm feeling. Make
Mhm.
sure that when you reproduce that and try to get a better take, that you go back to why you were feeling, that authenticity of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Love that. Rick is over here making us all giggle. Rick, what's your question? Because you're making me hungry now. I need to go eat some pizza. He keeps connecting all this stuff to pizza, and I'm dying.
Oh,
I'm
I love
starving
it. You
now.
said it's the dough. Yeah. Go
It's the
ahead, Rick.
dough.
Go
All
ahead.
right. Hi, Rick.
Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
Can you hear
can.
me? Good
Yes.
evening,
We
everybody.
see
Good
you
evening.
too.
Hello, hello, hello. Long day, long day.
Yeah.
So my question to everyone is, how do you nurture your voice? Like, because I work for a mortgage company, and 8 hours a day,
Mm.
you must know. eight
Talking all
hours a day.
day. Talking all
The
day. Right?
voice is
J Mark,
like,
we talk all day. Yep.
oh my God. It's like, so how what practices or something dietary or what do you guys recommend in terms of preserving your voice?
Number one, hydration.
Right.
Proper
Oh,
hydration is so
hydrate.
critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely water, warm tea, as little alcohol, I know that people go out, they have drinks and everything like that, but just be mindful.
Mhm,
A lot of dairy might not, be a good thing,
mhm,
especially when you're getting
mhm,
ready to record. I know I love my ice cream,
mhm.
but I don't eat it if I'm getting ready to do a recording or something.
Yes.
I will, just keep those things in mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
and
uh, oh,
Susan, if I can just
go
interject,
ahead.
Susan has it's a class or
Vocal warm up. Yep.
a vocal warm up and how
Mhm.
to,
Exercises.
yes.
Yes. Vocal warm ups. Absolutely. Speak to Perform members. It's in the VO vault. The vocal warm ups are in there.
And there's
Really good stuff.
there's a gentleman on YouTube, a British
Hmm.
gentleman. He's very, very good. You can Google it. You can Google
Hmm.
people who are not in the Speak to Perform yet.
Yep.
Google
Hmm. Yep.
vocal exercises.
Yes,
British
vocal
guy.
warm-ups.
Yeah.
Vocal
British
warm-ups.
guy
No
did
smoking. Thank you, Johns.
no,
Yes, indeed.
of
Smokers,
any
quit.
kind. Okay.
Smokers,
Because
quit.
really, yeah,
Not good for your
really
voice.
messes up your voice.
Not good for your voice at all. No shouting.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a sporting event or a concert and the next day you can't talk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is so bad for your
Take
voice.
airborne. A lot of
Yes.
airborne, to
Uh-huh.
protect you.
And
You-
and I will say that we've had a second customer who had something going on vocally that
Mhm.
we needed to suggest go to your doctor.
Yeah.
If you have something happening, if your voice has started to change into a hoarse, raspy, scratchy, uncomfortable to talk, it's getting more and more whispery every year. Get your butt to the doctor. Find out what is happening before you try to do voiceover. I don't want to have to refund your class because we discover that you shouldn't be speaking. But we will. If we discover that you should not be speaking, we're going to refund you and send you to your doctor and tell you to
Right.
come back once you've figured out what's going on. That's extremely important.
Yeah.
I think we covered all of the questions people already sent in to us.
Yeah.
And I think the people who put in stuff in the chat, we didn't get to it. If we didn't answer your question tonight, please, please, please send it to support@greatvoice.com so that we can, because we will. And if we don't know, we got people we can ask.
We got people.
We got people. We got behind the scenes people that we can ask. Absolutely.
Donna, we have somebody, and I just got to say this, from West Africa.
Yeah.
And this is the beautiful thing about the internet.
Been hanging
We
out.
work and touch people all over the world from our home studios. So welcome to you from West Africa. I will be in West Africa in a week or so. So I'm excited that someone in West is talking to us from West Africa. Hello, welcome.
Yes. We not only do we get people coming to Great Voice from all over the world, but our Great Voice students and our staff members work with clients all over the world. David Brower has worked with clients in over 85 countries now. He was keeping track. He stopped at 85. So we don't know how far over 85 it is, but over 85 countries. I've worked with customers in half a dozen countries, and I'm still fairly new, by the way, to voiceover, you guys. I started taking lessons from Susan 5 years ago.
Look at that.
Okay. Yep. Barb's found Great Voice when she was on vacation in Scotland, and she lives in California.
Wow.
So yeah, it comes out. Yeah, absolutely. We're all over the place. Okay. David gets pretty much exclusively jobs outside the US now. That's because his agents in other countries keep him so busy. So busy. And if you're on Fiverr, that's where I get all my clients from other countries off of Fiverr, because it's the world's largest freelancing site. But now we've gone quite a bit past the top of the hour. So we'll let you guys go, and please, please, please support@greatvoice.com. Email us with your questions if we didn't get to them, because I think we could probably go 3 more hours answering questions.
If it was up to me and Donna, we would.
With all of Rick's talking about pizza, I'm like starving.
I'm
so I gotta go eat dinner.
I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Rick.
In my path. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Guys.
It was great.
Really do.
Talk to you guys. See you guys soon. Have a great night.
Good night.